I want to give you an overview of the methodology so that you have an impression of what we are talking about, what you have to do. Okay. In this overview, I will not describe each of the tools, each of the phases, because it would be too a long story. Of course, I will explain and I will show the tools that you are going to use. Maybe a few others that you are not going to use, but for sure all that you are going to use. So, as I said, this is an overview of the MSDS, Methodology for System Design for Sustainability. As we said before, to design sustainable product service system, and it could be used by designer, design department, even company. You know, for example, we have been working with companies, even businessmen. They using our tools. They feel very comfortable. They were really very happy all the time. So we have been using those together with them. And even when the case was of having different company, maybe with different cultural background, because maybe they were a different type of person within the same company or different person because they were from different companies, but those tools, those design tools were quite helpful. You know, maybe we as designer, we have these capabilities since we are using some visualization. Any tools anyhow has some visualization aspect, and visualization aspect may reduce the gap of the difference in the culture, in professional culture, or not only between different person and so on. You know, because it's a way in which the strategic conversation and the conversation between persons with a different background may be helped. So let's start from the strategic analysis. Okay, from the first phase, the analysis of the project promoter. This is something we're not going to do. We definitely did when we were in Africa making workshop with a company to understand their positioning. And so for this we use the innovation diagram, and it's an innovation diagram that in this case was just recently partly redesigned to be adapted for SPSS applied to distributed economy. And so what is asked actually is to a company we are working for to position itself into the polarity diagram that basically is the same that we have for the scenario, except for the fact that for the existing system we don't have decentralized and distributed, we have centralized and distributed, because it's not said that the company is already decentralized and distributed. It could be linked to a centralized system of producing energy or whatever. But then it could be, so we position and we understood where the company is. Then the second thing we do is to, we actually profile the company by highlighting who is the provider, the customer, if something they are offering is already an SPSS that maybe they didn't know, and anyhow, what are the products that they are offering, what are the services, what is paid, what is the type of payment. You remember that the type of payment is quite peculiar in SPSS. And then at the end there is the DA configuration. Now you don't read it. Maybe there is no DA in their cases, so there is nothing. And we have some template with some labels that we can copy and paste into that part. So we position the company and we profile the company. So it's quite easy to be made. Then another thing that could be made is the analysis of the referent context, so for example of the competitors. And we can use the same tools. You see there is the innovation diagram for competitors. The first one was for the existing offer. Okay? So again here we position one or two or some of our competitors. Again, for the same reason, we can profile the competitor, understanding what are the products or services, whether they are already doing something that is an SPSS type of offer, or if they are having already some kind of distributed and decentralized. By the positioning of that company that we see there, at least they have a decentralized system, because it's not positioned so below where is the centralized system. And this is made many times by company, but you see this is made in a way to highlight some key characteristics in which we are interested in, okay? Because we are highlighting those characteristics. That is why this is an innovation diagram for sustainable product service system applied to DA. When it's just for sustainable product service system, something related to DA disappear. When it's for distributed renewable energy, we have another innovation diagram with some key characteristics, just the key characteristic of distributed renewable energy. And then another thing is that we can make of the existing system, the existing offer. For example, I have a canteen here at the campus in Bovisa La Rossa, and I want to understand which are the environmental problem of my canteen and the socio-ethical problem related to the eating system of my canteen. Okay, you remember we talk about the life cycle assessment of product. It's a very quantitative and hard and very difficult, and on a system level could be really, really tough. Okay, so this is a way to make with some checklist a qualitative assessment of it. But if I'm asking you to make a qualitative assessment of the environmental performance of the canteen, you say, oh, I don't know really where to start from, okay? So to have some checklist, that means a question, is there any waste of this or this help you to understand whether there are problems, or actually to ask the right question to understand whether there is a problem, even though in a qualitative way. And this is made for each of the 6 criteria that we saw for the environmental dimension. You remember? System life optimization, resource reduction, toxicity reduction, biocompatibility and conservation, and so on, okay? So for each of those, we have a set of checklists, and while answering to this checklist, we understood where the problem related to the fact that maybe my system doesn't last long, maybe that my system consumes lots of resources, my system is very toxic, my system doesn't use any renewable resources, and so on, okay? So related to some criteria, but then they will be our criteria to design. So this is why it is interesting to analyze the system in relation to something that is more useful for us, okay? And when this is made, actually, we come up for each of the criteria with a kind of a short report, qualitative report, about the environmental problem related to system life optimization, resource reduction of the given system and existing system, okay? This will be made, you will find it on the tools already for the eating system here, so you don't have to do it this time, but it could be made. Actually, another student is making a degree thesis, is working on that, so we made some studies in the past. He's updating those, and maybe he will be presenting the results of this strategic analysis in the next lecture. No, sorry, but after that, there's still an important thing that, okay, that we can identify priority. So we understood that we have a report for each of the 6 criteria, and by this we understood, but what I've understood, the resource reduction is really the worst thing into my system, or toxicity, or the fact that no product lasts anything. So system life optimization is key important. So we define priority in relation to each of those criteria. So maybe system life optimization has a high priority, toxicity no priority, and resource reduction medium priority, and so on. And this will be very helpful for us right after, when we will be designing, because we understood which is most important to follow, as a strategist, where we have to put more attention on. You remember that some criteria some criteria could be even conflicting, and sometimes you may have to find a compromise. But if you know which is the one with the highest priority, it's easy to say, okay, let's go in that direction. Let's leave the other one. Okay, you can highlight even where are the competitors, and you can profile them. This is the same as the other one that we saw before for your offer. You simply, I think that I already said this, but it's okay. Okay, we go to the next phase, exploring opportunity. So far we made, let's say, a strategic analysis of the system. We saw few tools. I hope you get something of this approach. And here we are using, again, the SDO toolkit, Sustainability Design Orienting Toolkit, to generate the idea. And we have 6 idea tables for the environmental dimension in this case. And each of the idea table is related to one of the 6 criteria that we have evaluated right before. And they are the same criteria that we have been studying during the course, with the guidelines, an example, and so on. Okay? So you will find there again system life optimization, transportation, and so on. And so for each of those, you have some guidelines. You have even some example. So if you click on the example of the guidelines, you have access to an example that is online, actually on the Lens platform. So it's the example, basically it's the example that Lorenzo presented to you, or some of those. Of course, they are the same. But when you are brainstorming, could be interesting not just to read the guideline, but maybe to have inspiration by some example. Okay? So you can click, look at the example, get inspiration, or think about the guidance, or maybe just think about how to optimize the system. And then you have some digital post-it. So you click on the gray button, you open, and you type inside, like it could be a normal post-it. Okay? And this you will be doing brainstorming, a group of 6, I believe. And this will be the second action after having listened the scenario. Then, after brainstorming and generating idea for the environmental dimension, you go with the socio-ethical dimension. So, for the socio-ethical dimension, you remember we have again 6 criteria. We have some guidelines, And we have some examples. So the scheme is the same. You can read the guidelines. You can click and look at some examples. And then you can, you brainstorm and you come out with some idea. What is key important, and we will be working a lot with you, because this is something fundamental for you to be understood, that any idea has to come out as a system idea, not as a product or process idea. It has to be an idea in terms of innovative stakeholder interaction. So how can I design and can have an idea into that direction? Maybe some of you knows. It's not so easy all the time, but it's very nice to make this exercise with you. And if you fail, that's not a problem. But it's just a way in which we can understand. You come out with a product idea. What is the system idea behind this to make this product to be, with a easy to be recycled or something that you are saying? Maybe if the producer is offering this together, complementing the product offer with a take-back system and so on. Okay, so the idea is that to have a new interaction, a take-back system, this new service, this new interaction. Okay, and this will be both on the environmental and socio-ethical level. Then, as I said to you, we have developed some guidelines. They are really tentative guidelines, what we have been able to do. And we are in the course of developing scenarios. So a scenario will appear something like this, with her beautiful voice. I wonder when you will be listening your voice, if you will be inspired by yourself. But, okay. There are, for each of you, remember the scenarios, I described it very shortly, because I didn't have yet the story to describe it rightly and so on. But you will listen to each of the scenarios, and we remember the polarization was B2B and B2C, and from distributed to decentralized. And in relation to those, there will be 4 stories to listen, and then some the possibility in the middle, because the story will be stored to help you to get, when you listen, something that looks like a real story you get, to the point that you understand something, you see really that is there, people are doing this, and this is happening, and so on. But then a story, anyhow, though we are trying to make it as comprehensive as possible in relation to the vision, it's important that after the story you open up a bit your mind, that since in a story there is maybe one person, it could be that person, but maybe even other person, and so on. So there are 4 stories for each of the vision of the overall scenario, and then in the middle there will be other 3 videos. One say, well, listen, the offer and modality payment could be, as you see, but even other type. The stakeholder could be those that you have seen, but could be even other, and their configuration, and it will be highlighted even the sustainability benefit of the overall system. Then we develop those that Cheng presented to you together with the example. The same guidelines are embedded in an idea table generation, with link, even in this case, to example. Okay? So you click on, you read the guidelines. They may give you some inspiration. They are general. You have to think to yours. So you have to declinate. You have to imagine if this is giving you some idea. You can look at the example. Maybe even this is suggesting you something, and so on. And then you come up with some idea. So in group of 6, you take out all the idea. And you will do it for all of the 6 of the criteria. All right? About this, I want to say something important. Why is exploring opportunity? Again, you see, before going directly to one concept, we are saying to you first, look at all the environmental problematic issue and read which are the problem and try to get any idea possible in relation to waste valorization, any possible idea in relation to resource reduction, to system life optimization, and so on. They could be very divergent, okay? But before start, take out all of the ideas as well for the 6 criteria of socio-ethical dimension. So you will have a bunch of ideas, maybe very divergent, and then you will use this to converge those ideas to start to find something, because you have to include even distributed economy and more, because this is what we are interested in as well, into some other idea. So at the end of this process, you will have a bunch of ideas. A bunch of ideas is not yet a concept. Could look even a bit of a mess. That is not. But you have to converge again towards a concept. And so this is what is happening after exploring opportunity. You get a point why it's exploring opportunity. It's like to say, I want from you all the system idea you can take out while thinking to the system of heating in Campus Bovisa relation to toxicity reduction, any, to system life optimization, any. And so I want any idea possible to come out. I don't want, because many time, there is something that you may have not think about it, but that could be really, a key point that may be then integrated to something that you have already in mind, may become very interesting. When thinking about radical innovation, it's quite important to diverge at the beginning. Don't be afraid of diverging. I know it's a difficult exercise for us as designers, even me. When I get in love with one idea, I stay stuck. I want this. I have to have it. So it's like to say, well, relax, make some yoga, something, I don't know. And take your mind somewhere else. Use the scenario to be there in that reality, which is not really the overall reality. It's a possible reality, but be there, okay? And there, try to think at the beginning in all the direction, but then converge, of course. And for this, we are using again the innovation diagram. We have been using to analyze the existing offer and the competitors. Maybe that is not needed all the time. You will not be doing this, okay? You will be using only for what I'm going to say to you, to select the most promising idea, okay? So you have the idea, you take from all the idea table that you've been developing, discussing, fighting, whatever, and you paste those ideas into the polarity diagram. The polarity diagram is the structure of the scenario, okay? So it comes back to the story that you have been listening before, and so it helps you to position and to understand where your offer is going to be configured. When this is made, it's possible even because you will find that there will be some empty spaces, and you said, oh, but what about if this idea that is a B2C, it becomes a B2B? If I'm going to, something that is in this way, I can move it there. Maybe you may have a new idea. So even while positioning this is not just a copy and paste process. It's still a design process. All right? So you do this and you understand. And you understand as well, okay, if you have been focusing on distributed and decentralized, maybe some idea, they don't stay here inside. So maybe they look interesting, but they are not into the framework of our idea of what we are looking for, as a promising concept. Well, when this is made, we have really, if not, we diverge for the rest of our life. we have to select, again discussing, fighting, whatever, which are the core, those ideas that are coherent among each other that for you may represent the concept you are going to develop. You know? And if they are closer, nearby, and if they are, basically they could be, it's not necessarily in this way, but basically you will highlight those. Okay, these are part of my starting concept. And so when this is made and you have selected, again you will be using these labels to identify that is maybe a use-oriented BSS, that the customer is this, the producer is this one, which are the products that you are offering, which are the services that you are offering in your first idea, what is the type of payment you have thought so far, and which is the DA configuration, so which are the DA type that you have been considering in just distributed renewable energy or even distributed production, and what is the configuration. Is decentralized, distributed, but is even standalone, or other type of mix of configuration. So this helps, you have this first idea to start profiling a little bit your concept, but at the same time to understand whether you are doing an SPSS concept or not. Because if it doesn't fit, if you don't find the possibility to put the label on type of SPSS, so if your offer is neither user-oriented, product-oriented, or result-oriented, maybe you have to rethink a little bit. And so this, I don't think it will be this the case, but this helps anyhow. And it helps anyhow to think, okay, maybe since that is there, maybe you have some sort of idea, and you said, maybe I could, even here you can use it still. What about if I offer this as a paper period, and then it's even not as I thought, but even as a result-oriented, which I didn't thought. I thought a more not so radical innovation before, and so on. So again, since you have all the possible elements over there, this helps you to organize your idea. And then when this is made, since it's a mess of idea, okay, you have profile and so on, you clean it up a little bit. So we have another very easy format, which is called concept description format for SPSS applied to DA. So it's simply you write the title, the description of the unit of satisfaction. You have to write it. And then again you profile. The profile could be quite similar to the profile that you put before in the innovation diagram, or it could change because again, when you go on, you can go on redesigning. But here you have really the first description of your concept. I have to check the timing, but maybe the next lecture, that will be the first part of the design exercise. For sure, you will be using the scenario, listening, then you will generate idea, and you will take the idea onto the innovation diagram. We will see to which level, how much time we have, and because we need to make a presentation of the heating system in the campus, so that takes a little while. I have to still check the time. Nevertheless, we will come close to this point. But then you will go on, and let's say what may happen. You have a first idea of a concept, okay, at this point, and it should be an SPSS and DA concept. So what you're going to do, one tool is the system map. So you insert the actors, The actors mean which are the stakeholders, the provider, the user, the municipality, all the stakeholders that are taking some action into your satisfaction system, and which are the interaction. Again, information, financial, material, flows, and so on. Okay? And you see, and you will learn that there are different type of graphics to show which is the type of flow. You can see there below. And then you will, again, because this is very important, highlight, you see there, the system ownership. Where is the ownership of some product? Is by the provider in this case, okay? Or by which provider and so on. So that will be shown. In fact, this is in some way this is a typical design tool for product service system, but in product service system you will not find the fact that we highlight where the ownership is, because ownership is very important when designing SPSS. Then when this is made, what another tool to go deeper into the understanding of the system, how it works, which is the role of each actor. Okay, we get the main configuration, and when we get it, let's think about, okay, the first one has to do this at the beginning, and the other one has to do, so we have to design this action, and we use the interaction table. And the first things you said, this is an Excel file, and you will take the stakeholder. You will paste those labels here on the left side column, where are the stakeholder, and each stakeholder perform the action on the row. So we put, for example, the customer is a individual household and a private energy company or something. You will have yours, okay? I believe more than 2, 3, 4, I don't know. At the beginning will be some. So first of all, we position those. And then what we insert, we start describing what are the action of the different actors in a time perspective. So, for example, we identify that the first actor, which is the producer, has to do something, and then after that, the user is doing something else. Then maybe the energy supplier has to do something, and so we describe this action. And this is a design process, because you may have something in mind, but while thinking about it, you said, but if there is no one doing this before, I cannot do this. So maybe another actor has to appear, you have to identify another actors, or you have to clarify, the situation. And at the beginning, it won't be complex, and you won't make that a complex interaction table. As I said before, when you go on in the process, that may become a very, very complex, very, very detailed, action by action, stakeholder by stakeholder, and so on. When you design a service, something has to be, depends what kind of service. But if you go in a bank or somewhere, there is a procedure, every action, after one action, there is the other action and the other action. If this is not happening, this other thing has to happen, and so on. And what we actually identify, by each action is described by a short text that is what an actor is doing, but as well, because we like an image, so there is a background with a silhouette of the actor. The actor is the silhouette has the same color of the actor, so it's easy to be identified. So this is describing even in a more graphical way, and that makes it easier even when you are co-designing with different stakeholders, so that they can see where they are and they can say, no, I cannot do that. I don't trust that this other actor is doing something good for me here, so I need something else. So it helps a strategic conversation, and it would be anyhow useful for you to organize and design the service and, or better, the interaction among the different stakeholders and their actions. And then you will insert as well the product that some actors are delivering in a certain action, and emphasizing as well the ownership of this, because again, this is important. Then, and you will be using this, you will be asked to make a storyboard. A storyboard is a cut, you take some scene of the interaction table and you put it on one single row, okay? So there is the same representation, a short text, and you recognize the different actor by the colors. There is the providers and the customer, and then the other actors to make it more simple. So we have just 3 colors, but maybe you can say to us, I don't feel confident with this. Maybe I would think it's better to have different systems. So I'm saying this because someone said something similar in the past. So please really feel free. Okay, we are using this tool right now, but feel free to even innovate if you want, or even give feedback to us, because you are a designer, and it's important for me as well to have some feedback from you. Okay, so you describe this, and this is helpful to describe, how the system works, for example, internally to the company. If you have to describe with a interaction table that maybe is very complex, they say, sorry, what happens? I don't get the point. No? But if this is a storyboard, in one line it goes, then this is really a narration, like a comics, let's say, storyboard. And so it's more easy to be understood at the beginning. Okay, this is all I said, and there at the end there is a letter. Then something that is, and you will be asked to make, is the satisfaction offering diagram. And what we have to actually define, first of all, which is the core offer, what is the main satisfaction. So you have to identify this quite well, identify a good image to present this, a good slogan, something that highlights this. Could be even a question, whatever. And at the beginning, you may even highlight which are some sub-offer. Said this, the system is dealing with ingredient selection, weekly, daily pre-order, and food delivery, if this is related to food or something like this. Here we are still in a concept phase. Then, well, this is really nothing new, but it's good at that stage to start sketching and thinking about even the product, either they're, physical products or digital products. And then what we do, and then we have to we made a concept, and you will come to that level, and then, as I said to you, before going on, wait a while. You did all the best to have a sustainable solution, but it's better, before really going deeper, to make a quick check about the real sustainability potential, to understand whether it's useful or not, to readdress a little bit the process. And for this, you are using again the Sustainability Design Orienting Toolkit. For example, here we are going into the environmental dimension, and you are using the same checklist that you have been using to assess the existing system in relation to the different 6 criteria. Okay? And you are making those questions about your concept. Okay, so you will come out with a a report on your concept actually describing whether you produce any benefit and improvement in relation, for example, to system life optimization compared to the existing system that you had before. So you will be doing this for system life optimization, for resource reduction, for toxicity reduction, and so on, for each of the 6 criteria. Or 4, I don't know, maybe we will make on 4 to make it a bit shorter. But anyhow, you will assess, and maybe you will discover that you are doing great, better than ever. You didn't thought about it, or maybe you understood that while improving something on one criteria, that may create some problem in relation to transportation, for example. All right? So you have to highlight this. This is not a problem. It's not that I, for example, since I'm going to evaluate even the use of the tool, I'm saying you made a bad word. No, it's part of work to understand whether some. So if you are really good in understanding that there was something that was thought to be good in one dimension, but it's not in the other, it's because environmental and socioethical issue are complex. It's not that everything is smooth and it goes. Complexity is not bad. It's even interesting, but it has to be dealt. And so when this is made, what you will be able to do in a qualitative term, you will be able to say, while looking at system life optimization, for example, you write, there is no any disposal packaging that was before, so I improved. There is no waste of food, so there is an intensification of the use of food and something like this and blah blah. And so you said, compared to the existing system in which there was lots of packaging that was disposable, a waste of food that was embarrassing, and so on, you will say, I have quite an improvement. And so here the way to assess, again, is in qualitative terms, so you are able to say there is no improvement, because you said, oh my God, I didn't do anything. Or there is an incremental improvement when you realize that you did something but it's not so as maybe it should be. Or it could be a radical improvement, you did really a lot about it, okay? And we will learn how to assess this, okay? And you're going to do this for each of the six criteria, okay? So your concept is evaluated in terms of improvement in relation to the existing system that was before, in relation to the eating of Bohisa was here, your concept. Then you click, there is the radar button, you go on the radar, and the same improvement are highlighted up to the radar automatically. So you will see there we have the same 6 criteria that we have been working on. In the darker circle, there is it's equal, so nothing changed, and are highlighted the priority that you have defined in relation to the existing system. For example, let me see. Here we have a low priority for conservation biocompatibility. Okay, this is what you have been assessing on the existing system. Then you can look at the other one, at the improvement. The improvement is on the middle external circle, which is plus, so incremental improvement. That means that for a low priority, you have an incremental improvement. Okay, so you compare the how important was to achieve improvement in relation to one criteria to the level of improvement that you have really achieved with your concept. So for example, I don't know if here have, so if you look at transportation and reduction, you have an H high priority and you have an incremental improvement. That is very good. Okay? If we have one criteria with a high priority, in this case it's going quite well, but let's say that waste minimization was with a high priority, but we have no improvement, it means that maybe we have to go back and to rethink something about our system. So maybe regenerate ID or rethink about the same system and so on. So that is why I'm saying it's an iterative process, and you know, there is some kind of complexity, but we can deal about that. We do some simplification to deal it. So we have some criteria, because if not, it could be too difficult to move it, to dive into complexity. But then we can come up with good solution. And then here as well, you can write the level of, you make a recap of the reason why there is an improvement in relation to conservation biocompatibility. And why? Because this radar diagram is often for example, we have been using in company, where we develop a concept, we present the concept to the company, but then since they said to us, well, we want to have it as something that is environmentally sustainable, and even though the evaluation is on a qualitative level, if you have a radar diagram that is showing this in a certain way, somehow it's more trustable by the company. Okay, it's not like to say, oh yes, it's good or not. Well, there are some checklists that helps you to say something that basically is going in the right direction, right? But then it could be helpful for get convinced, the manager, the project manager, that you're going in the right direction. And you do the same for the socio-ethical if you're working with the socio-ethical. So there is an evaluation, and you check the level of improvement, and then you recap why there is an improvement in relation to, for example, improved social cohesion and so on. Okay, this is made, you have a concept, and you go into a detailed design. Basically, you are using the same tools that you have been using before, but with a higher level of detail up to them. So the system map here, I didn't have a good example to put it right now, because this is like the same system map that I had before, but I will show you other. Could be very many actors, more interaction, and something like this. The interaction table would be a bigger interaction table with more action, with everything more detailed and so on. So you will go on in designing, you will identify new actors, or someone will disappear. Even the satisfaction offering diagram will have even not only the core offer and the sub-offer, but even how the sub-offer are delivered. So with some additional text can explain this, because you know something more about it. And then even at the end, let's say that we have detailed this. Now I have to complete the story, if not, it's not an overview, it's a too long story. It's good to make again a check, okay? You can make even, you can use even life cycle assessment cases, but again, I'm saying it could be quite costly. So you can use still qualitative tools, and you can still use the SDO. So the point is, you update the environmental assessment and evaluation you made, and you update the socio-ethical assessment. So the report will be maybe rewritten, because maybe you had some problem, and then you have solved this, and so the performance of the product could be better than what it was before, okay? Or maybe it's the same because it was already great at the beginning, but nevertheless, this is related to the final product service system in a detailed, that you have detailed at the end. And this, of course, you can update even the socio-ethical radar diagram and its evaluation. Then you can make an interaction storyboard or update it if you did it before. But that interaction storyboard that is related just to those actions that lead to some sustainability benefit. Okay, so it's what we call interaction storyboard. So you can update this. You can, if at this point, if this is for external communication, it's good to have some video that works much better. Maybe at the beginning, the video could be, if you have so many, maybe it could be expensive to make too many videos, even though we will show you the very fastest way of doing. But if you want to have a good video to communicate outside, there could be some kind of a cost. So, it could be usually in two different ways, internally and externally. Of course, you have to understand that the budget is definitely different. And for communication, you can still make an animatic. In this case, even the animatic could be, if it's for external communication, for the concept, you can do it much better, maybe asking for some professional making movie design or other things like this. Not you as designer if you're not really that good, okay?